Welcome to this session on cue cards throughout the curriculum. My name is Conderman. My colleague and I are excited to share with you some ideas about using cue cards. First of all, you might be wondering, what are cue cards? In the educational research, you'll find the term procedural facilitators used to describe cue cards. But they're cards, paper, or electronic systems used to support students as they complete multi-step procedures. Cue cards have a number of benefits for students. They support memory, therefore they compensate for many of the students' disabilities. They're portable, easy to understand and use. They increase student success and students' independence. Cue cards also provide benefits for teachers. They're flexible, adaptable. They don't cost much to make, except a little bit of your time. They're easy to create. They can be individualized for students, and they have a solid research base. There are several types of cue cards. We'll provide examples of steps only, 2-column, 3-column, visuals, and think sheets. First, steps-only cue cards provide a minimum amount of support, and thus they're appropriate to use when students only need reminders of the steps and their order. Here we see Penny's steps for writing a persuasive paragraph. Connie has learned the COP strategy for editing her work. She only needs a reminder of the big steps in this strategy. 2-column cue cards indicate the steps and an example, or a place for the student to indicate that they've completed the step. Thus, 2-column cue cards often promote self-regulation. Here we see a 2-column cue card indicating symbols and their meanings. Here we see a 2-column cue card being used in foreign language. Cue cards can also be used in language arts or content areas when students are learning specific vocabulary by indicating the vocabulary word in one column and its definition in the other column. 2-column cue cards are unique in that you can show students how to cover up one column to self-test their knowledge in preparation for an upcoming test or quiz, thus supporting self-regulation. Next, we have visual supports. Visual supports add a picture, icon, or illustration to the cue card. They're especially helpful for students with limited reading skills, those who are not proficient in English, or those who need a picture. Three-column cue cards provide the most support. Often they provide the step in writing, an example, and a place for the student to check off that they've completed that step. Here's an example of a 3-column cue card used in the area of math. Column 1 shows the step in narrative format. Column 2 shows an example. And column 3 could be where the student checks off that they've completed a step, or they actually complete their work in that space area. Finally, we have think sheets. Think sheets provide information and questions for students to consider as they complete a project or as they prepare for a test or a quiz. Here's an example of a think sheet. The teacher has identified 4 areas for students to think about as they prepare for an upcoming quiz in science. Here's another example of a think sheet. Here the teacher has prepared 5 discussion questions for students to consider in preparation for the discussion over Chapter 3 in Language Arts. Finally, here are some concluding thoughts about cue cards. Cue cards have numerous advantages for students and teachers. They can be used at almost any grade level and any subject matter. There are different types of cue cards. We would hope that you would involve the student in the cue card and gradually wean away the student's reliance on the card. Here are 2 references that might be helpful in your journey of learning more about cue cards. Thank you for attending our session. We hope you have a great conference.